And now we're live. Can you
Mm-hmm.
say something?
U.S. keeps China, puts Canada on IP priority watch list.
All right, say one more thing.
Amazon is raising the price of Prime. Those bastards. It sounds like someone's making tea. That's weird.
Yeah, that is.
I'll leave my feet up like this. That's amazing.
It's disturbing, to say the least.
Oh, boy.
Oh, this will be interesting because my laptop has to sit right there because that is as far as the power cord will reach. Let's see here. People in the outside world could let us know if the audio is okay. That would be marvelous. Otherwise, I think we're just about ready to go. Boom. Can you say one more thing, Paul?
One more thing, Paul.
You are just a little bit louder than I am, and hopefully I'm trying to turn mine. There we go. I think now I'm loud enough. Yeah, I just turned my audio up, so hopefully that's good.
You sound delightful.
You know, it was delightful, Paul, today, before we even start.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was.
We are getting that rain you were talking about, by the way. Thanks.
Well, the perfect part is that you'll be, well, we'll talk about it on the show. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back, everybody, to First Ring Daily, where Paul is in a, he's lying down.
I'm in a reclining position.
I was thinking Teams wasn't going to pop here, but it looks like the show notes did show. All right. Paul, where are you?
I'm in a guest bedroom at my friend's house in Dedham. I'm up here for the weekend so that he can try to kill me with alcohol.
This sounds pleasant.
He came pretty close last night.
Is there any way I can help him be successful tonight?
I mean, honestly, if last night didn't work, I may literally be impervious to alcohol.
That is unfortunate, and I will note that in your record. You must switch to other drugs. Let's amp it up. Let's try meth next. Let's just go all in. Let's just go all in. But one thing Microsoft did go all in on here, folks, is yesterday they announced earnings. Just some real super quick highlights here. Office 365 Consumer now has 30.6 million subscribers. On the commercial side, they're up to 135 million, which works itself out to about 2.5 million per month. Surface revenue, once again, over $1 billion, 1.094, up 32%. But again, consider that what that product line they had last year at this time, which was kind of boring and stagnated. So that's no big surprise there. Xbox Live active users remained stable at 59 million, and gaming revenue brought in $2.25 billion for the quarter, which is about 300 million more than last year.
How's LinkedIn doing?
Did you see what Frank Shaw did to me on Twitter?
No, but if you were negative about LinkedIn, I could see him.
Yeah, so that's exactly what it was. Surprise, surprise. LinkedIn lost $245 million, and then they had some write down of intangible assets that suddenly made them paper positive. And I was just quite literally chatting on Twitter about like how does this work? What are they writing down? What does this even mean? And that LinkedIn continues to be a cash hole as Microsoft tries to turn it into a viable business. And he was like, well, listen to the earnings call because you're wrong. And I read the earnings transcript and it didn't really explain much other than LinkedIn it's trending in the right direction. But if you start at the bottom of a crater and you make 6 steps forward, you're still in a crater.
Matt, you're better at math than I am, so let me ask you a question, because this would be difficult for me to do in my head. LinkedIn costs, what, $26.2 billion? Is that right?
Yeah. Every time that's said, I laugh, but yes, go on.
How many quarters would it take where you lose about $250 million a quarter would it take to add up to that thing being paid off?
I think about 26 years.
I mean,
but that's in the negative. Yeah.
And that's what I mean. That's the joke. Like,
yeah. Yep.
In short takes today, my quip on this was, what's the strategy here? Volume? I mean, like, what's and I'm sure this was the topic of conversation at the time when they bought LinkedIn, but, they talk about these kind of non-direct financial benefits for the user base and so forth. And you could do some simple math. How many users are on LinkedIn? Divide 26.2 billion by that number, and then figure out how much they paid for every one of those phases.
Yep, I think everyone agrees that Microsoft buying LinkedIn made sense. I think everyone probably agrees, or hopefully agrees, that 26.2 billion was probably too much. If they would have paid, say, 3 billion for LinkedIn, I would be thinking, yeah, that's about right. But
yeah,
they are.
It's not worth 2 Nokias.
Yeah, more. Well, I guess. If you're rounding up, 2 Nokias. I would go with like 2.25 Nokias, but you can buy a lot of things for 26.2 billion. Probably Sony at this point. So.
Yep.
The other interesting thing, and I don't know why I've never latched onto this, but the fact that gaming for Microsoft previous quarter, it was about 3.25 billion for the quarter. Like 3.25, not 3.25, whatever. And this quarter, it was, about 2.25 billion per quarter.
Do you mean quarter over quarter?
No. Microsoft.
You mean year over year?
Yeah, last quarter, the Christmas calendar quarter, they made about 3.25 billion ish. And this last quarter, they made 2.25 billion. I mean, that's 2 and 3 Surfaces. Yeah,
and I wasn't sure where you're going with this, because honestly, the fact that they did that well comparatively after a holiday quarter to me is positive.
Very much.
The problem with all of these numbers is that we're talking about revenues, not profits, and
right.
What we don't see in most of this is the cost of revenue or the actual profit or loss that is occurring there. So I think the gaming business overall for Microsoft remains what the company would call an investment. As an Xbox user and a fan, I like their strategy. I actually think what they're doing is smart. They are never going to hear the end of complaints about exclusives, even though that's kind of a red herring, or
right.
Unit sales for consoles, which is a very real number that they won't provide. But they're doing what they can do within the confines of the market situation. And I think for people who are fans of gaming, they should be applauded for that, because what they're doing is very gamer-centric with all of the excellent services they offer, like Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, and back of the napkin math, gaming for Microsoft is an $8 to $10 billion annualized revenue cycle. That is significant.
Yes, but
now, if it's costing them $15 billion, that's not so great. But if they ever break that out, that would be lovely. If you're listening, Microsoft.
They're not.
No, they won't.
I mean, they are, but they're not.
Just like they won't ever.
Yeah,
break
you're
going to
see that everywhere. So one of the big questions I have for the earnings is with regards to the future, because there's this kind of ongoing story about Windows 10 and what's going on there, and Windows 10 Enterprise especially seems like it's going pretty well. That this is the point in the cycle where businesses are actually starting to deploy Windows 10. And so neat, that's great. But really, this thing is playing a supporting role going forward. And the big play in that space is going to be Microsoft 365, of which Windows 10 is just a part. And I suspect that once the fiscal year ends, July 1 there, we're going to see some changes in the way that Windows revenues are reported and in how that business is structured. And I'm really curious how that's going to work, because today all of it is under More Personal Computing, which is a business unit that used to be run by Terry Myerson. But they've broken Windows up literally and figuratively in different ways. And as of today, Brad Anderson runs the enterprise part of that business, and Joe Belfiore runs the kind of consumer part of that business. And I feel like these things should be reported on separately, and I think might be. I think that Windows, at least the enterprise part of it, it will be a little bit like the way they do Office 365 today. You're going to hear, well, we hear this now, but there's a kind of an enterprise end and then a consumer end. But I feel like they should be in different parts of the business. That More Personal Computing might be the consumer stuff, and maybe Windows gets wrapped into, I don't know what it is, Intelligent Cloud or whatever part of the business that is, or wherever Office 365 is.
Well, the nice thing about that hypothesis is that it's been about 6 quarters since Microsoft changed up how they reported earnings, and so it is about time to shuffle those deck cards again and screw all of us up. Yeah. I don't know why people were so excited about this. I know I was excited, and I can't explain why, but iTunes now is in the Windows Store. Like golf clap.
I ran it this morning, and just as a helpful reminder of how crappy iTunes is, and it's just as crappy in the store as it is not in the store. I'm not, frankly, it's kind of like everything else that's store related or Windows 10s related or whatever, which is like, there are these kind of perceived benefits you get to this thing being in the store. And there are a couple of real benefits, obviously. It's nice as a user to be able to go to a single place and check off all the stuff you want to have and have it just download to your machine. That's nice. Somebody, I think, pointed out that, actually, I don't want to, I think this might be in your show notes. I won't ruin that bit of it. But, those are real. And then there's the startup process issue, which is not as good as advertised, and these applications, especially desktop bridge applications, are able to start up all kinds of processes at boot time, and it doesn't seem as bad as the non-store version. I'm not 100% sure why. It's possible that maybe part of the holdup for this app and part of the struggle here is just that it is in fact looking for updates through the store, which would be great, right? Which would be the right way to do it. But man, you just look at this thing and you're never going to see anything else here. Like, this is it. I mean, they'll update the app as they do, but poorly and infrequently. But we're not going to see Windows 10 notifications and live tiles and any of that stuff. They're never going to make any effort at all with this thing.
The biggest positive about this is that when you uninstall it, it uninstalls. You don't have iTunes Helper left over. You don't have that Bonjour service just bouncing around doing whatever the hell it does.
Yeah. No. Yep.
That's those are the real.
The even better thing to do, though, is to never install it in the first place. So I can think of one. Okay, so there's one legit reason why people may occasionally need to use this. You can use it to do a local backup of your iPhone or other device. Okay, so and why we're doing that in 2018, whatever, we can judge that. But the fact that you can use it that way, you can use it to, if you're in the developer program, to download. Well, actually, you don't even do that anymore. You do that stuff over the air. But you can you can refresh the thing back to the normal stable build if you've been putting developer builds in there. You can do stuff like that. I mean, it's very esoteric, but that stuff is there. But if you're like an Apple Music subscriber, and this is your thing, and you use Windows 10 PCs, pump the music from your phone like a normal person. Like, who's doing this stuff on a computer these days? Like, it just seems like an antiquated, out of touch way of doing things.
I could say that about you, Paul. Well, I was just thinking. I mean, the way that I listen to music is, it would actually work for that model, is that I have Spotify open on my PC upstairs, but it uses whatever the Sonos Connect thing, and then blast it to the speakers throughout my house. And then if we're doing a call or whatever, I just use headphones, but that's about it. So, yeah.
So you'll appreciate that. You just reminded me of a joke I thought of at my own expense the other day. It must have been Wednesday, whatever day this week I was home. It rained for you one day, and then it rained for us the next day, and now I got here and it's raining here. My wife went out for a walk with the dog, and she came back, and I said, "Is it raining out?" And she said, "Yeah, but it's soft and over 50." And I said, "Like me?"
Wow.
She was,
wow.
Yep. At least she didn't say it.
Wow. Well, nice little segue here. We're just going to move on. Something that's coming up, folks, is on May 14th through the 16th. Paul and I are going to find ourselves in Chicago, and if you're around, you should definitely stop by too. There's a conference happening in Chicago. It's called VeeamON. And Paul and I are going to be there. We're going to do a bunch of podcasting. We got a whole podcast set up. We got booth setups. We're going to be doing a bunch of interviews and all that other good stuff. And so what is VeeamON, you might ask? Well, if you've listened to anything we've done recently, Veeam does a lot of backup stuff. And it's basically the future of backup and how to make your enterprise just a little bit better, your data a little bit more available. And that's coming May 14th through 16th. You can find out more at veeam.com, and that is called VeeamON in Chicago. And Paul and I are going to be there, which is right after Build. We're going to come home from Build, basically have 48 hours to detox away from each other, and then we're going to find ourselves right back holding hands.
I know. I was so wonderfully not going anywhere for so long. Now we have 2 back-to-back business trips. Well, I mean, this is the thing I'm doing right now. It's just a personal thing, but I'll be home for less than a week before we go to Seattle for Build. And then, like you said, we'll be home for a couple of days. Then we go to Chicago.
Yeah,
then I intend to crawl into a hole and die.
As is tradition in May, my whole month of May is almost all traveling because we go next week. I'm taking a couple days off and definitely not going golfing with buddies. Taking a couple days off before Build. But then we go to Build, 7th through whatever the 9th. Come back. We go to VeeamON the 14th through the 16th. Actually, we're staying an extra day, so we'll be back whatever the 17th, something like that. Then I have a week back at home, and then the following week I'm going on vacation. Leaving the second half.
Are you
of that
going
week.
to Florida?
Yeah, we're going to go down to Florida for about 10 days.
Nice. Very nice.
Going to get tan, as tan as I do.
As tan as you can get.
Yeah, I mean, so conveniently, since I've got an Xbox One X now, we can use this as like a tan indicator. This is the Xbox One S. This is pure white. This is Brad's skin tone. And we can use this as an official benchmark to see how tan Brad gets.
You're more manila than white, I would say.
Yeah, I'll take that as a compliment. I've never really tanned. I turned various shades of peach, and that's about as good as it gets for me.
I actually can tan, although I appear to be a little on the orange side right now. That's the light.
Jesus, what the hell was that?
What happened?
You like dragged your mic on the bed or something while you looked up. It sounded like somebody like burst into the room.
It got caught under my arm.
It is all good. It's all good, I guess, unless you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, because apparently they're raising the rates by 20 bones.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide whether raising the price once every several years by $20 is better than them raising it by $5 every year, and it probably is better, I guess, right? I mean, if you use Amazon Prime, you understand the value of this thing, and I think most people will do the mental math or the literal math, and will decide that $120 makes tons of sense. That it's not an unfair thing. Plus, the new Jack Ryan show, whatever it's called, isn't going to pay for itself. So we have to, I guess, account for that as well.
For as much things as I order from Amazon, I will obviously be paying for it because that, sometimes it's even same day free shipping, which doesn't happen too often. They're like experimenting, but we can almost always get next day.
Just lost you there.
Is there a kettle over there?
That might have been a truck.
Oh.
My friends live on the street from Pet Cemetery.
Oh, nice.
And so every once in a while, a giant truck was racing by.
Well, that's good.
Oh, you mean the oh, I'm sorry, you're referring to the kettle sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the someone is making tea sound that we hear occasionally and can't identify. Yeah. No, I don't know what that is.
As long as it's coming from your place and not my, I'm looking around my house going like, where? I'm the only one.
Yeah, I have no way to know.
Who knows? Who knows? But anyways, Amazon Prime being more expensive, it's not a huge deal. We order stuff. We're probably getting a package, honestly, from them maybe once a week at this point. It's ridiculous how much we order, and that next day free shipping and 2-day free shipping and all that good stuff. It is what it is.
It pays for itself.
Sort of. Sort of.
Yeah.
Couple of, whoops, wrong button there. One of the things we do on Friday is take a look back at some of the comments, and we got some good ones today. We got, I believe it's Pachi, maybe, on iTunes being in the store. It says installed and uninstalled, and I think it actually removed everything. Very nice. I totally jumped the shark or whatever, jumped the gun on complimenting that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point, and that is one of the very real benefits of a store app. So, this is the thing that but others have had on the Mac for a long time, where it's kind of a drag and drop install. But when you pull that icon out, which is really a folder full of all the stuff that's it's all self-contained, it removes the whole app. It's kind of a neat thing. That's the way it should work. So that's cool. On the other hand, it's also says something a lot about iTunes, when the biggest benefit of this thing is that it removes itself cleanly.
Yep, and the other comment comes from, I wrote up some stuff about the Xbox One X. Marathonchman, if that name sounds familiar to you.
Merovingian, whatever it is.
That is you. He says, so Microsoft are the mullet of the IT world, all business in the front, party in the back. The party being not this one, because I can't unplug my the black one, but the Xbox, yeah. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this one.
Yeah, I also have an orphaned Xbox One S, and I don't know what to say, because I don't know. It's like right now it's attached to a TV, but we don't really use it.
I got to tell you, I think I much prefer the aesthetics of the Xbox One S to the X. The black is
interesting.
I don't know. I like the white better. It looks better, I think.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't offer colors, and it seems like they could have very easily done like a shell, where you could pop them off and have replacements and stuff.
Yeah. A couple other things, Paul. What are you doing on Monday?
What am I doing on Monday?
Yeah. What are you installing on Monday?
No, I'm not installing anything on Monday. I've already installed it everywhere.
Oh.
So I'm going to be good to go. But this is I have a hard time remembering the dates, but I want to say it will be 3 or 4 weeks prior to that. Actually, was it Monday or Tuesday, whatever that was, in early to mid-April, when this was the original release, right? They had kind of finalized 17.133 in late March, and that was the schedule that if you wanted to download it, you were going to be able to get it on that day, and then I guess it would have been the patch Tuesday, whatever date that was in April. That would have been the widespread Windows Update release. So now they pushed it forward into May, which is hilarious.
April 30th is when you can go grab 1803 Redstone 4 or the 2018, or what is it, April 2018 update.
Yeah.
That your heart desires.
Yeah, I mean, we can and should be cynical, I guess, about the delays because of how weird they've been about communicating what's really happened there. But, whatever. The thing I will applaud, because I've complained about this when it wasn't the case, is that this isn't a really big upgrade at all. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I think we collectively, as a user base, need this pause. So it's kind of nice that there's just a bunch of small stuff for the most part. Cortana and Edge and those things like that need the changes of getting them. There's one major new feature, which is Timeline, which no one's ever going to see anyway, so that's fine. And then there's some user experience refresh stuff going on. Well, a user interface refresh stuff going on with acrylic and reveal highlight appearing in more places in the UI.
Yep, I was going to say, I fully agree with the timeline stuff. It's a very neat feature that is, I think, past its prime, unfortunately, because we know how actively developing people are with their apps for Windows anymore. And
I never, I go into timeline. Oh, that's why. I haven't synced it on this one. So I keep looking for some indication that there's like this cross-device thing going on. And like, I know I know it's there, but I just never, and I just don't really, I sort of appreciate the point of it. And then I sort of look at it and I think, yeah, I don't know that I'm ever going to really need it. I guess it will be nice that one time that I do need it and it's there,
If they, the main benefit, I think everyone will hopefully agree, is the cross device, right? If you're on your phone, it just kind of seamlessly weasels its way into there on your PC, and you don't have to go to that share icon like you do now and hit a button.
This reminds me of virtual desktops. The original version of Windows 10 added, for the first time, formal support for virtual desktops in Windows, even though the technology had actually been in there since the NT days. And it was one of those things that people like, finally, we've been looking forward to using this kind of thing. And I don't have this data, Microsoft does, but I bet very few people ever use it, And I think with virtual, not to beat on that feature in particular, but it's one of those things that seems to make sense. You can group projects or whatever on different screens, and it's, together, and it sounds great. There's some basic functionality that's missing, such as the ability to save those things so that they come up together when you launch them later, which, by the way, is something even the iPad can do in iOS 11. And I just think it kind of falls apart for that reason. And so there's a lot of stuff like that in Windows. And I think Timeline is one of those things. It's like, it's a good idea, or sets even, where you can have tabs. I think few people would listen to what this was about and say anything other than that sounds like it could work pretty well. It's neat. And then I think most people are never just going to go near it.
Gravy. You got anything else for today, Paul? Out in ye old Boston?
Yeah, we're going to go to our favorite seafood place tonight. I don't know. This is going to be a light weekend for me, I think. I come home on Sunday.
Is Stephanie with you?
No, she's back home. My father is visiting, so she's lucky she has to deal with him. I know. This trip that I'm on, it was planned a long time ago. In fact, we saw a comedian last night, and that was the start of it. And then we have a big group of people going out tomorrow night. But, at some point, it became clear my father was going to be here right in the middle of me. Like before I go, and then after I get home, he's like at my house for like 8 days. And my wife was like, seriously, like, you can't possibly be leaving me here. And I'm like, I am absolutely leaving you there. So,
fun.
What are you gonna do? What about you?
It's a beautiful day. I honestly think I'm going to be drinking adult beverages, probably standing out in the street like the most suburban thing you can do, and letting my kids play with the neighbors' kids while the parents have a little sanity to themselves. And I think that's about it.
Great.
Cool. All right, folks. Well, that wraps it up for today. We'll be right back next week with another full week of, well, that's a bold lie, partial week of First Ring Daily, because Brad is going to be gone unless Paul wants to record just his face talking to a camera. There's probably going to be no show Wednesday or Thursday. There will definitely be something on Friday, I think, before we head off to build. But have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and hopefully the weather is as good where you are, because it's awesome here. Bound. Yeah, what I did was I did my podcast this morning, and then I went here. It's kind of hard to see. It's really hard to see, actually. So this is like a long par 3 or whatever, and I was playing by myself, so I played 3 balls, and I put 3 of them all short in like a 6-foot radius. Figures. I couldn't hit the green. It's
like when you're playing darts or shooting at a target, and they all kind of hit really close to each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. So there's like one right down here. There's one right there. And there's another one like right over there somewhere. And it was real. I mean, it's good, but it was like I should have been hitting the whatever. That's golf. That's golf. All right. You enjoy yourself. I'm going to go probably honestly sit on my deck until I have to go pick my kid up and attempt to not be this.
That white.
Yep.
Good luck with that.
We'll see. See ya.
Bye.